Yo.
No.
Wow. Okay. We're here to review Overkill and their new record, White Devil Armory. Came with a poster, dude.
I know, dude.
It's upside down. No,
it's not.
upside down. It came with a poster, dude. I only buy it if it comes with a poster.
Only no poster, no care.
So yeah, this is their 17th album.
Jesus
Christ. As many as Judas Priest, and they've been around since the early 70s, so it's like, fuck. So yeah, these guys have been cranking it out. This follow-up to the Electric Age. I mean, if you don't know Overkill and you're a thrash fan, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. Overkill is just a very legendary thrash band. If I had to make a bands that got snubbed from the Big Four, Overkill would be in there in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Overkill, Testament,
Creator.
Exodus.
The middle four.
But Creator's in the Teutonic thrash. We're getting off track.
Yeah,
that's a whole debate. Yeah, so what do you think of this album?
This is, I feel like this is just another, trying to think of the words that come to it. It's another one of those albums where altogether it's a really, really good album. I mean, it's very much an Overkill album. I mean, you can get your grooves on, like in songs. Oh, Freedom Rings gets pretty groovy. King of the Rat Bastards, Down to the Bones, groovy. Like, it's very much, those Overkill grooves that, happens in like every single song that they do. But then I think in terms of standout tracks, there's not honestly that many that are like, boom, this track. The Armorist is definitely a standout track. Down to the Bone, as I said, is pretty good. King of the Rat Bastards is good. Bitter Pill is good, but then, like, at least to me, the rest of the album kind of blends a lot of just, I don't know what it's missing. I feel like just a lot of the other songs on the album are just missing that extra little oomph that Overkill usually has with all those. But it's just missing it. I really don't know what it is. It was just like, yeah, these are good songs, but it's like, I'm not going to go, like, out of my way to be listening to some of these. I don't know. Like, they're good songs. If I'm just jamming the album and I have it on shuffle, I'll probably, of course I'll bob my head and I want to thrash around like an idiot to whenever, Another Day to Die is a good thrash song. Like, a good, like, you just want to fucking thrash around. But it's like, I might not go out of my way to listen to that song. But it's not a bad album. Like I said, I mean, it's a very, very enjoyable album. I guess from the standpoint size, which one's the drummer on here? Because they just have the names. Ron. The drums are very, the drumming's very good on this album. I mean, it's a thrash album, so I mean, you got your usual thrash drumming, but I mean, he sets the pace good. I mean, and honestly, the drums is where the groove comes from, which is honestly the part that, Overkill that sticks with me, is that the fact that I don't think anybody can really get as groovy in thrash metal as Overkill can. It's just awesome. Bobby Blitz does a good job on vocals. It's just, I notice sometimes on this album, his vocals sound weird. I don't know if, like, I noticed it's at times when he tries to harmonize, like, two pitches or something, but it just sounds weird. I don't know if I like it or not. It's like, because his voice is usually very raspy and at the same time very high-pitched, whereas when he's, like, doing the harmonies, it's a little less high-pitched and a little less raspy, and it just sounds weird, and I don't know, it kind of doesn't sit right with me. Guitar-wise, I mean, this album, guitar-wise, sounds a lot like the Electric Age. It's a lot of the same kind of instrumentation. There's just lots of riffs. I mean, it's a thrash band. There's going to be riff after riff after riff. And bass is good, and I mean, and this album also has the other thing that I think is probably the most well-known part about Overkill, and that's, you know, the cool backing vocals, you know, and the Armorist is one, you know, Down to the Bone, you know. It's just when, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. Just those Overkill backing vocals. If you've heard their albums before, it's just awesome. So, yeah, like I said, there's only a couple songs really, really stick out to me. But I mean, all in all, this is a solid album. So, yeah.
The first time I listened to this album, I was extremely disappointed. I'm like, I don't know. I just was not digging it at all. I'm like, this is kind of a letdown. The more I listen to it, the more I really like it. But I feel it does lack a couple of those just huge, just like fuck yeah songs, like an Electric Rattlesnake, in Ironbound, in Elimination, Bring Me the Night, something like that. I mean, Armorous is probably that song, but still then, I feel that song just isn't as solid as an Electric Rattlesnake or something. However, that song, that is not a bad song. That song fucking rages, and it thrashes hard. That main riff is so catchy, and the chorus is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good songs on here. I think Down to the Bone and Bitter Pill are just some of the best, I mean, the best things that Overkill has done in recent memory. Especially Bitter Pill. Bitter Pill is fucking heavy. Like, I just want to, you know, pull a Brandon and just stand up and, you know, spread my legs wide and get down and just, yeah, just headbang. When I listen to that song, it is an incredibly heavy song. Where There's Smoke, ... That song is 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. I don't know if it's about smoking weed or not. I haven't looked at the lyrics, but you know, that's a good song too. There's some catchy stuff. I feel that the second half of this album is okay. Like, the first half is really good and the second half is okay. Maybe that's why I'm thinking this album just lacks a little bit compared to Electric Age or Ironbound. You know, their two most recent albums that have been freaking almost masterpieces. I think that's wise. Is maybe Overkill's just cranking these out too fast. I know they probably feel they're on a roll, and Overkill's always really just put out album after album. Maybe they should take 3 years next time. They've been going on like a 2-year cycle, you know? I don't know. Maybe just something was just slightly missing. Because this album did come out really fast. Like, I feel it was like, boom, new Overkill.
Whoa.
Okay? Like, I just thought they'd put out another album, you know? It's kind of like that. However, this is a really good album. I just feel it just, like I said, just lacks that little tiny touch that'll just put it up to the next level. And I think that's about it. Otherwise, there's nothing truly wrong with this album. Bobby Blitz nails it. He is one of the best vocalists in thrash metal, and he has one of the most unique voices in heavy metal, period. You know, sometimes when he hits his high screams, it's just like, dude, you know, this guy's got to be pushing, you know, in his 50s, you know, so he's getting up there in age, yet he's just belting these songs out. And I think the thing about Bobby Blitz is that he adds so much, like, this band is the only thrash band to me that has a sex appeal. Like, it's more the way that they play live. It's just like, yeah, look at me, I'm in a band, I'm hot, and I play thrash, and I play fucking metal.
Yeah, it's like one of the things where once you see them live, when you listen to the song, you picture them, and you just see how they would act, and it's like.
And it's just like down to the bone. I can see them playing that song live. And the song ends with them going like, down to the bone, like that. And I can just see their bassist just standing there on stage, and he, you know, hits his last note, and then he throws the pick in there, and he's just like into the crowd. I can see it. And you know, some of these songs I feel would be really, really awesome live. But yeah, I mean, anyways, Bobby Blitz nails it on vocals, and I feel that he adds. He's such a mastermind when it comes to being just creative with lyrics and lyric patterns, and you know, there's nobody out there that writes lyrics like Bobby Blitz does, and it's cool. I feel his phrasing, his words. You know, I would never expect someone to put some of those things together, but he does, and it's creative and it's awesome. And I'm glad that someone, you know, out there writes really, really creative lyrics like that. So definitely that's cool. But yeah, the backing vocals are incredible. I mean, backing vocals are one of the best things about Overkill. Just these like awesome gang vocals, and it's just Dee Dee Verney, his last name. Yeah, I mean, all three of them do it, but I feel he is the one that, you know, when I think of Overkill backing vocals, I think of him. So, you know, props to him as well. The guitars are done very, very well by Dave Linkst and Derek Taylor, a.k.a. Alex Bond, 50 years from now.
I forgot about that.
I mean, the guitars are always well done on an Overkill album. Lots of thrash, lots of heavy. They have a fucking phenomenal sound, Overkill does. And this, you know, I go back and listen to older Overkill albums, and I'm just like, man, I wish I had this album recorded with the sound that they have now, because it's just so beefy and thick and heavy, and I love it. And the solos rip on this album, just like every other Overkill album. I mean, soloing is always one of Overkill's strongest points, I feel. They're always very catchy, very well written, and that's, you know, same thing going on here, like usual. However, I think the one thing about this album, too, is that I feel I don't know, it's just something about some of these riffs I feel I've heard before. And maybe I heard them on an Overkill album or somewhere. I just feel some of these riffs aren't exactly fresh. Whereas in the past two albums, I thought a lot of the riffs were really fresh. And here, I'm not saying all of them are just boring, they're copying themselves. It's just, some of them just feel like, I'm pretty sure you've done this before. It's starting to get that iced earth syndrome going on. But that's about the only problem I have with that. Otherwise, the guitars are really well done. Like I said, this album is good. It's just missing that one small touch to really just go and you know, send it up into the fucking clouds. I feel that this album, as Overkill's career goes on, and if they keep pumping out more albums, I feel this one might become more of a hidden gem, kind of like an Immortalis or a Necro Shine or something like that. You know, this is not Overkill's standout album. This is not Overkill's best album. Is this a good Overkill album? Yeah. So yeah, I would say I'm slightly, ever so slightly disappointed by this, but it's still a really good album, and I still will enjoy thrashing out to this hardcore. It's a very heavy album.
Yeah.
What would you give Overkill's White Devil Armory?
I would give this album an 8.1 out of 10.
I'd give this album an 8 out of 10. It's a solid shit. It's a big old solid shit that you just feel really satisfied afterwards. You're like, man, I'm glad I took that shit. And I'm like, I'm glad I listened to that album.
Exactly.
Blaze it.
Fucking blaze it.